Have you ever stopped to think about how amazing it would be to travel back in time and fix that mistake that changed everything, or even take a leap into the future to see what humanity will be like in 100 years? The idea of time travel is one of humanity's greatest desires, and it's no wonder it appears in so many movies, TV shows, and books. But is it really possible? The truth is, science is already exploring this possibility, and the discoveries are, at the very least, surprising. Albert Einstein, with his theory of relativity, was one of the first to suggest that time isn't as rigid as we imagine. He showed that time can stretch or contract depending on speed and gravity. This means that, theoretically, if you were to travel close to the speed of light or be near a black hole, time would pass more slowly for you than for someone on Earth. Can you imagine? You could come back from the trip and find out that decades have passed here on Earth, while for you, it was only a week. But hold on. Before you start packing your bags for a time travel adventure, there's an important detail. This would only work for the future. Traveling to the past is a much bigger challenge, and this is where things get really intriguing. Some physicists theorize that wormholes, those cosmic tunnels connecting different points in space-time, could be the key to traveling to the past. The problem? No one knows if they actually exist or how we could use them. So would you be up for a trip like this, even knowing that you might never return to your original time? Just think about the consequences of changing something in the past or bringing information from the future. Would the universe allow it, or are there natural laws that prevent any kind of paradox? If you're curious to learn more, make sure to hit the like button on the video to help us bring more amazing content like this. Now let's talk about what would happen if time travel were possible. Have you heard of the grandfather paradox? It's one of the most famous examples. Imagine that you travel back in time and prevent your grandparents from meeting. If they never meet, your parents would never be born, and consequently, neither would you. But if you never existed, how could you have traveled back in time to stop them from meeting? This is the kind of problem that really puzzles scientists. And it doesn't stop there. Another famous paradox is the end of the world paradox. Imagine someone travels to the future and discovers that humanity will be extinct by 2050. When they return to the present, they try to prevent the disaster, but would that really change the future? Or is fate already written, and any attempt to change it would just become part of what was already destined to happen? These questions show that even if time travel were possible, it could bring more problems than solutions. But what if there were a way to travel through time without causing paradoxes? Some theorists suggest the idea of parallel timelines. In this scenario, every time you travel through time and change something, you create a new reality separate from the original one. That way, you wouldn't be altering your own past, but rather creating a new future. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But this theory is taken seriously by many physicists, and it could explain how time travel wouldn't destroy the universe as we know it. So what do you think? Do you believe the universe is organized enough to allow multiple realities, or is messing with time a recipe for chaos? Now let's talk about what science has already discovered about time travel. In 1971, two physicists, Joseph Haffel and Richard Keating, conducted an experiment that proved that time really can pass more slowly depending on speed. They placed highly precise atomic clocks on airplanes that flew around the world, and when they compared them to clocks that remained on the ground, they found that the clocks on the airplanes were slightly behind. This proves that time is not absolute, but relative. Another fascinating experiment was conducted with subatomic particles. Scientists managed to teleport quantum information from one place to another, which, in theory, could be a step toward time travel. And there's more. In 2020, researchers were able to simulate what time travel might look like using quantum computers. They created a scenario in which particles could return to their previous state, as if they were traveling back in time. Of course, this is still far from being applied to humans, but it's a start. But what about wormholes? Could they be the key to time travel? In 1935, Einstein and Nathan Rosen proposed the existence of these cosmic tunnels, which could connect two different points in space-time. The problem is that, to this day, no one has been able to prove they exist, and even if they did exist, they would be incredibly unstable and could close before anyone could pass through them. So what does the future hold for time travel? Will we ever be able to buy a ticket to the past or the future? The truth is, for now, it's still in the realm of theory, but that doesn't mean scientists will give up. After all, humanity has already overcome challenges that seemed impossible, like flying through the skies or exploring space. Some physicists believe that in the future, we might be able to harness the energy of black holes, or even create time machines using technologies we haven't even imagined yet. Others think time travel might be possible, but only on a microscopic scale, like with subatomic particles. And there are even those who believe believe that time travel is already happening, but in a way that we haven't yet been able to detect. But what if time travel is never possible? Would that be a bad thing? Maybe the true fascination with time travel isn't the possibility of changing the past or seeing the future, but rather what it teaches us about the universe and about ourselves. After all, the idea that time is malleable makes us question everything we know about reality, destiny, and free will. Time travel isn't just a topic for scientists and theoretical physicists. It's also one of the cornerstones of pop culture. Who hasn't been moved by Back to the Future, where Marty McFly and Doc Brown show us how a time travel adventure can be full of excitement and twists? Or been blown away by Interstellar, where the relativity of time is portrayed so strikingly that it still makes us reflect today. But pop culture isn't limited to movies. TV shows like Dark and Doctor Who explore the complexities of time travel in ways that leave our heads spinning. And let's not forget the books like The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which practically pioneered the genre. These stories not only entertain us, but also make us think, would time travel be as thrilling in real life, or would it be something much more chaotic and dangerous? And here's an interesting tidbit. Many of these works end up influencing science. For example, the concept of the wormhole was popularized by films and TV shows, but today it's being seriously studied by physicists. Even the famous grandfather paradox gained prominence in pop culture, appearing in stories that try to solve or explore its implications. So what's your favorite time travel story? Do you think it has influenced how you view the possibility of time travel? If you're enjoying this journey through pop culture and science, make sure to hit the like button on the video to help us bring more content like this. Now let's talk about the practical challenges of time travel. Even if science one day discovers how to make it possible, would we have the necessary technology? Just imagine the amount of energy required to create a stable wormhole or to accelerate a spacecraft close to the speed of light. We're talking about energy levels that are today completely beyond our reach. And it's not just that. Even if we did manage to develop the technology, we'd have to deal with serious ethical issues. For example, who would decide who gets to travel through time? Would this be a privilege reserved only for the rich and powerful? And what would happen if someone used time travel to manipulate historical events or gain personal advantages? The possibilities are frightening. Additionally, there's the risk of causing irreparable damage to the fabric of space-time. Some theorists believe that any attempt at time travel could create black holes or even destroy the universe as we know it. Is it worth taking that risk just to satisfy our curiosity? Now let's dive into some of the craziest theories about time travel. Have you ever heard the theory that time travelers from the future are already among us? Some people believe that certain historical figures like Nikola Tesla or Leonardo da Vinci were actually time travelers who came to accelerate the progress of humanity. Could this explain why they were so ahead of their time? And there's more. Some even think that historical events like the construction of the Egyptian pyramids were only possible with the help of time travelers. After all, how can we explain the precision and complexity of those structures with the technology available at the time? Of course, this is pure speculation, but it's fascinating to imagine that humanity's past might have been shaped by visitors from the future. Another bizarre theory is that the universe is already full of time travelers, but they're hidden among us, living in secret. Some even suggest that certain anomalies, like objects that seem out of place in time, are evidence of this. What if your neighbor is actually a time traveler? So after exploring all these ideas, what can we conclude about time travel? The truth is, even if we never manage to travel through time, the simple act of thinking about it already teaches us a lot about the universe and about ourselves. Time travel makes us question what is real, what is possible, and what our place in the cosmos is. It also reminds us that time is a precious resource. After all, if we could go back in time, would we really change anything? Or would we learn to appreciate the present more, knowing that every moment is unique and irreplaceable? Time travel might be a distant dream, but the reflection it brings is something we can apply here and now. And here's one last thought. Maybe the true time travel isn't about machines or wormholes, but about how we use the time we have. Every choice we make, every experience we live, is a way of shaping our future and leaving a mark on the world. So how about we start traveling through time in a more meaningful way, making the most of every second of our journey? So what do you think? Is time travel more about science or philosophy? If you enjoyed this reflection, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with that person who loves thinking outside the box. See you next time, and remember, time may be relative, but the experiences we live are eternal.